Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today, SummerSlam predictions, as we are just days away from the biggest party of the summer. So, with a big match card, let's get right into it. We're going to start with Minnesota's own Chad Gable looking to finish his own story from a couple years ago, as he will be challenging Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. And, it is kind of funny looking back now, that Chad Gable should have been the one to beat Gunther at WrestleMania 40. But somehow, some way, Chad Gable has essentially, as what did CM Punk say, a championship opportunity falls out of the sky. I mean, literally, and I know he won the gauntlet to get to this match, but you gotta remember where this whole entire thing started with Gable becoming El Grande Americano, but also he became El Grande Americano because he lost to Penta. So this entire thing by accident has become a full circle moment here, and if this is on ESPN, I haven't seen what is the confirmed matches for ESPN, but if it is, then I could see this maybe being an alright match. But if it's not, then I do think this could be one of the matches of the night or the entire weekend. So I'm picking Chad Gable to finish the story, and he is going to win the Intercontinental Championship for the first time. Next, we got six-man tag action here as LA Knight, teams with Royce Keys and Solo Dolo Sikoa against the Bloodline, Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob. Jingle Heiner Smith. So, I am going to say this right off the bat here. Please do not turn Solo against LA Knight and Royce Keys, because this is a fun version of Solo Sikoa. In fact, I think many people are coming around to the idea of a babyface Solo Sikoa. And honestly, the fact that we are sitting here worried about Solo potentially turning heel and going back to being just the enforcer of the Bloodline, it speaks volumes to creative, and I will have a video talking about creative as a whole later on this week here. But yeah, please, can we not? We've already seen Jacob Fatu get neutered by joining the Bloodline and acknowledging Roman Reigns, because Jacob Fatu was doing so good on his own. Then he's joined the Bloodline and just became another Bloodline family member. But this version of Solo is fun. It's entertaining. So I just don't want to get away from that. I think I want to see Solo kind of just see how far he can take this new character. So I still think the Bloodline will win here, but please don't turn Solo Sikoa heel and align with the Bloodline, please. Gunther, the ring general, taking on the former SmackDown general manager, Nick Aldis. And I think this is going to be a good match. I think this is going to be a very fun, entertaining match. If you are not familiar with Nick Aldis as a wrestler, his time in TNA as Magnus, I would say go on YouTube, watch a lot of matches of Nick Aldis outside of WWE. Obviously, this will be his first time wrestling for WWE. But again, if you're not familiar with who Nick Aldis is as a wrestler outside of WWE, I would say go watch his matches on YouTube. But yeah, Gunther versus Nick Aldis. Man, how far has Gunther fallen since doing the whole career killer thing. It's absolutely crazy how they fumbled this whole entire thing. But yeah, I'm picking Gunther to win here. I think my question here would be, what does Nick Aldis do after this? Because does Nick Aldis go back to being the general manager? Or does he become a full-time wrestler? And someone else takes over the general manager position. And I know Adam Pearce is kind of running both shows, but I think WWE would probably like to find someone who could replace Nick Aldis if he does become a full-time wrestler again. So I don't know what his contract status is, but we already got Brie Bella. Maybe Daniel Bryan, a former SmackDown general manager himself, could replace Nick Aldis, or at the very least, if contract situation with AEW where Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson can't come back to WWE, then maybe I would like to see Kevin Owens as the replacement for Nick Aldis as a general manager of SmackDown. I think that would be very interesting dynamic with Cody and Punk and Zayn. And then we have a 5-women ladder match to determine a interim women's champion with one opponent still to be determined, as Lash Legend and Julia will be competing for the final spots on SmackDown. The rest of the competitors are Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, and Tiffany Stratton, and Chelsea Green. So I've seen a lot of people say this should be Chelsea Green, give Chelsea Green the interim women's championship. No. Here's the thing. Money in the Bank is coming up. And I feel like, to me, Chelsea Green would be better off winning Money in the Bank. Giving her an interim title, I mean, sure, that would be great. She could have like a little run like Sami Zayn, sure. But I actually would rather see Chelsea win the official title, which is what they should have done in the first place, is just to have Rhea forfeit the championship until she is 100% healthy. Because how long is the winner of this match going to be the interim champion? I thought we ended this whole interim champion thing like a long time ago. But yeah, I want to go Charlotte Flair here to win this match. I think the big money match, to me, at least before Rhea injury, was always Charlotte versus Rhea running that back. And we know how good those two are in the ring. Those two have had great matches before. So these two facing off to determine the undisputed women's champion, I think would probably be the end goal. Maybe something for like Sunday night's main event in September. So we'll see. But my pick here is Charlotte Flair. And next we have a singles match that is now a Human Monies on the Pole match. I laugh because now I'm just trying to think, did the WWE hire Vince Russo back? Danhausen versus Dominik Mysterio. And, I said it in my Saturday Night's Main Events prediction video. I said the thing in New York City, thing with the Knicks, needed to be the end of Danhausen. The whole curse thing, it's run its course. Now we're kind of seeing the WWE completely overkill and run it until it's dry. And I get it. Danhausen made big headlines on ESPN. I get it. I think this is probably the match on one of the matches on ESPN. But again, I think, to me, the WWE needs to do something to write Danhausen off. Maybe put him in a feud with the Vision or something and have Austin Theory hit Danhausen with a chair and write him off for a little bit. or something, because I think I think they've just completely killed the Danhausen character, and it made Joe Hendry look like an, in whatever. But point being here is I'm going to go with Danhausen to win, even though I think Dominik Mysterio should win. Maybe you just have Dominik and JD take out Danhausen, and then Danhausen just goes away for a bit or whatever. Next here we have a number one contenders match between Finn Balor and Sami Zayn, as the winner of this match will get a WWE Championship match against either CM Punk or Cody Rhodes, whoever wins that match. And I gotta say, I think no matter who wins here, I think it's intriguing no matter who walks out as champion. Finn Balor, CM Punk, we saw the match for the World Heavyweight Championship before WrestleMania. Finn Balor versus Cody Rhodes. Sami versus Punk, Sami versus Cody. I think both are intriguing options here, but because of the fact that I think Sami Zayn needs to continue his downward spiral, his crash out, I'm picking Finn Balor to win, and Sami will continue to complain about being screwed over, which actually makes Kevin Owens being the new general manager of SmackDown, as I just talked about here, if he does want to replace Nick Aldis, even better, because Sami Zayn crashing out and complaining to Kevin Owens would make for some entertaining segments. 6-women tag action here as Nikki Bella made her return, and now this match has been set up as it is the Bella Twins and Paige against Fatal Influence. And again, JC Jane was originally scheduled to face Rhea Ripley, if you believe the reports. So why she wasn't in the ladder match is kind of confusing to me, because you could have just had JC Jane win the intern women's championship and still get to JC versus Rhea at some point, right? But anyway, here we are. Fatal Influence is your women's tag team champions, even though the tag titles are on the line. I just want to make that clear. But I do think if it wasn't for Nikki Bella returning, I probably would have said Fatal Influence wins. Like, if this was a rematch for the tag titles, I would have said maybe Fatal Influence wins and then Nikki and Bray turn on Paige. But I think because Nikki Bella returning here, I think the Bella Twins will win, and then that will set up the rematch, likely at Sunday night's main event in September. For the United States Championship, Trick Williams against Baron Corbin. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I think the internet has spoken enough about Carmelo Hayes not being on the WrestleMania card, not being on the SummerSlam card. And no offense to Baron Corbin, but what does he bring to the table that Sheamus, Kofi, New Day, Woods, all the other release talent didn't already have? I'm just saying. Sorry, Baron. No offense to you, but I'm taking Trick Williams here to win. But I'm just hoping Carmelo Hayes can rebound and have a better 2027. That's all I'm going to say. Next, we have our Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan, finally defending her championship, her first title defense since she won the title, which is absolutely insane, against the Queen of the Ring winner, Iyo Sky, in which, let's remind people, Iyo Sky defeated Liv Morgan in the Queen of the Ring finals to get this match. So, yeah, honestly, Raquel Rodriguez just won the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Congratulations to Raquel. Long overdue, if you ask me. Even though I think she probably should have been in the Women's World Title picture. But the Women's Intercontinental Championship is a good start. As for this match here, I think Iyo Sky wins. I don't know why, but Raquel Rodriguez winning the Intercontinental Championship is giving me like Jericho Kevin Owens vibes. You know, Kevin Owens lost the Universal title, but Jericho was the United States champion. And when they did the split between Jericho and Kevin Owens, they feuded over the U.S. title opposed to the Universal title. And I feel like I feel like the Judgment Day split between the ladies is about to happen. And I feel like this is what exactly is going to be repeated here. I think Iyo Sky wins, and then Liv Morgan, out of rage, will turn on Raquel, or Raquel will turn on Liv, and then that will put Roxanne in the middle. She has to choose between one of them to choose whose side she's on. And then at some point, we'll get a triple threat match between those three for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Then we have inside Hell in a Cell, Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi, the rubber match. You know, it's weird that they brought out the Hell in a Cell all the way out to Los Angeles. You know, if SummerSlam was in at SoFi Stadium or at the Dodger Stadium, I could kind of understand it. But man, imagine being on the production crew, having to haul the Hell in a Cell cage all the way to Los Angeles, then taking it apart to then take it to Minnesota and then re-put it back together. Man, that's crazy. But ultimately, I think Oba Femi wins here. He has to win this feud. This whole thing has never made any sense. Him giving up his title shot. Like, the whole idea that fans were throwing around before this, where on night one, Oba Femi beats Brock Lesnar. He retires Brock Lesnar. I have a video talking about that up here, whether or not Brock will be retired or not after SummerSlam. And then defeating Roman Reigns on night 2. Honestly, I think that probably would have been the better call at this point, instead of wasting Oba Femi's King of the Ring title win or title shot. Or at the very least, have Oba Femi use it on Sami and Zayn, and then this could have been for the WWE Championship. Then you could have had Sami, Finn, Cody, Punk in a fatal 4-way to determine the new number 1 contender. I think that would have been way better. But yeah, Oba Femi wins here. He wins the feud, and at some point he'll get his title match. Then we have a battle of brothers: Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Gotta be honest, like, I feel like I should be more excited and more hyped for this, because the WWE has been building this up as potentially their last encounter, like the finale, right? You know, it's so reminiscent of The Rock versus Austin from WrestleMania 19, where it was one of those things where, you know, The Rock never had a win over Austin at WrestleMania, you know, and then The Rock finally got that win over Austin at WrestleMania at WrestleMania 19. So that's kind of the story they're giving off here, where Seth is like, hey, you've never beaten me. So, yes, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns, because this whole story is I feel like Roman Reigns trying to do what he couldn't do before, where, oh, you can't win without your family, but he's so far won without his family. He's now got a chance to show that he can beat Seth Rollins, and I think he does. So Roman Reigns will still be your World Heavyweight Champion, and quite honestly, I think at this point, I think Roman Reigns versus Oba Femi is probably going to be your Night 2 main event for WrestleMania 43. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk for the WWE Championship. How? Tell me how. And I will, again, I'm trying to save all my complaints about creative for that video. But again, 3 dream feuds the fans have been wanting for a long time. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. And somehow, creative has flopped and just destroyed every single one of those feuds that we've been waiting to see. This is 100% rushed. Honestly, like I said, I think you should have thrown in. I think Sami Zayn being thrown in here as a triple threat match would have at least made it more interesting. That way you didn't have to rush and you could have had more time to build to a one-on-one match. But this is where I think the hardest match for me to pick, because CM Punk just won the championship. Cody Rhodes, he wants his title back. This is hard because I don't want to see Cody win the championship again. I think he needs to do something that is not the WWE Championship, not the World Heavyweight Championship. Cody needs to be doing something different. I think they're running this whole Cody chasing the title thing into the ground, just like they're doing with Danhausen and his curse. So I think for the betterment of the fan sentiment, I think CM Punk winning would be best, especially if you do turn CM Punk heel and you do that. But there is that intrigue that if Cody does win, he's the one that goes heel instead. And that might be the only way to salvage Cody winning the championship here, is if he does it in a heel turn against CM Punk. But honestly, we know CM Punk as a heel is way more interesting, way more better. I think CM Punk should have turned heel at Elimination Chamber last year and not John Cena. So I think CM Punk wins here. And I'm going to go CM Punk turns heel. And Punk will retain the WWE Championship. And he will face either Finn Balor or Sami Zayn down the line. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you guys see winning at SummerSlam this weekend here? And as always, I do produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel, and I will let you know by Friday if I am live streaming SummerSlam this weekend, so stay tuned for that, as I do want to get back to live streams on this channel. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button today. And as always, I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.